Peace and shizzle to all. This is Makanjula of Good Morning Ifa. Welcome everybody to this episode of Good Morning Ifa. I pray that you guys love it. You know how we always start it. We're going to do it as usual. Start off with a little bit of libations, and then we'll get into some prayers, and we'll get right into the topic of the day. Here we go. Let's do it.
Omi tutu, ona tutu, tutu na moye. Kosi ku, kosi harun, kosi ejo, kosi ojo, kosi idna, kosi I call upon the power and spirits of my maternal ancestors. I call upon the power and spirits of my paternal ancestors. For I am spirit of your spirit, blood of your blood, bones of your bones, flesh of your flesh. I call upon you to come forward to hear my prayers and requests.
Lead me on my destiny.
I'm gonna just play all the way out. Let this play all the way out.
To the poor souls, we lost in that middle passage. Those who fought back, we mourn through closed caskets. Those whose offspring was ripped from their arms, sold off like they was cattle on a farm. Field niggas slaving sun up to can't see. Escaped and got shown the meaning I can't breathe. Queens who fell victim to masters' passes, resisted, hand nursed, gashes from lashes. Those who sip water from designated fountains, pick cotton for crumbs, raise families in the slums. From trees they hung,
everybody. Shizzle to all. Happy Sunday. Hope y'all had a great week. I am Makanjula of Good Morning E5. Now, Good Morning E5, just to break it down to everybody who may not have tuned in prior to now. Good Morning E5 is E5 interpreted through the experiences of an African in America. In my humblest opinion, Ifa is new to us as African Americans, and our experiences with Ifa and the Odus and the teachings and understandings and wisdom of Ifa is a little different than it may have been or may be on the continent. So again, we thought it would be great to start a platform like Good Morning Ifa to speak about African American experiences with Ifa. So that's why we say Ifa interpreted through the experiences of an African in America. Now, we are here. We do our best to be here every second and fourth Sunday at 9 a.m. sharp. All right? No CP time. We get started usually around 9 a.m., a little before 9 a.m. so we can make sure that we're on time. So again, if you haven't already, go to the Good Morning E5 page and like it. Go to our YouTube page and subscribe. That way you can always stay in the know and you can kind of watch the videos, the prior videos on demand whenever you want. All right. Again, I am Makanjula. I was particularly trained by a temple out of Los Angeles called Otura Tuka. The Aluwo of Otura Tuka, who initiated me, his name is Ifa Iraro, or I call him Baba Amos. And he was trained by Chief Popola. Okay? Chief Popola. Now, few announcements before we get started, okay? Just a few announcements. I want to make sure you guys know that I have started some organizations that I think everybody needs and I think everybody should support. So number one, the first one I want to talk about today, real briefly, it's not going to be long, is CA Ticketmasters. I started this thing about 10 years ago, and it was designed to help people who are in need of knowledge of how to deal with traffic tickets and the woes that traffic tickets brings on, like suspended licenses, warrants, high bail fines, all that good stuff. So I won't get all into the details of it, but I initiated it about 10 years ago. We're still running. The website is caticketmasters.com. We can help you in any city in the United States. It's not just California, so don't feel bashful if you got a ticket in New York and you need help. I help people in New York all the time. So if you guys ever need help with that, please give us a call or go to the website, caticketmasters.com. All right, the phone number is 866-920-0768. On the other end, you may see me always wearing this Indigenous Rhythms hat, right? Or an Indigenous Rhythm t-shirt or something. So Indigenous Rhythms is an organization that we started about, I'll say 6 years ago. And it came about because I was tired of going to events that didn't reflect my sapiosexuality, I'll say. So I created Indigenous Rhythms to create and put on events that were more conscious. We did a festival back in 2015 called the Culture Fest. We had Brother Jay from X-Clan, a few people come out and perform. My brother Shannon was DJing there. We had fun right there in the parking lot at Simply Wholesome. We had an RBG party right before that where we had everybody dressed up in red, black, and green came out and supported. We had Africa Bambaataa, Brother Jay come out and perform. We put on events like that. And we try to put on events that uplift the community through arts. So if you want to get more information, somebody was asking me where could they get that song I was playing called Libation. You can go to the website at Indigenous Rhythms and get it there. It's called indigenousrhythms.com. All right, indigenousrhythms.com. So we have music there. We have t-shirts there. We put our events up there. Any events that we have, we sell our own tickets. We're not using Eventbrite, none of that stuff. We don't want to pay nobody no money for our events. So we try to do everything in-house. So please support that, y'all. Go to indigenousrhythms.com If you want to support some of the musical and event stuff, then go to caticketmasters.com. If you ever need help with any kind of license things, ticket issues, all that stuff, we even developed a rights awareness workshop where we train the youth on how to deal with traffic stops and then how to deal with the traffic ticket afterwards. So support it, support it, support it. Now, let's do this. Let's dig into the information of the day. Today's topic, and I know some people probably found this topic kind of comical, because I did too when I made it up, but it just made sense, so I had to do it. So today's topic is called constipated movements, all right? Constipated movements. United, we expand, but divided, we will fall. Constipated movements. United, we expand, divided, we shall fall. What am I talking about? Well, we've had many of movements in this country that did great work, awesome work. Awesome work. And some of these movements are still doing good work. But they're divided. And since they're divided, since they've been divided, it feels like the movement and their efforts and their mission has been constipated because there hasn't been much of a change since a bunch of the movements from the 60s, I'll say. So therefore, the movements are constipated. They're not moving. They're not changing enough things fast enough from my perspective, but they're not changing a lot of things. And I want to get into the reasons why that is from my humblest opinion and from my bird's eye aerial view of the whole situation. So let me get into a few different movements to put a couple of these movements out there, okay, so you guys can understand where I'm going. All right, some of the movements I want to talk about is first, number one, my favorite movement of all time, I believe, is the UNIA, which was initiated by Marcus Garvey, which stands for the Universal Negro Improvement Association, started by Marcus Garvey back in 1914, okay? It ended around June 1940. That's when he passed away. It kept going on a little bit further after his death, but it kind of fell off the cliff eventually and it just dissipated. So, great movement. If you don't know about the movement, I don't really have a lot of time to go all into it because we'll be here all day. But if you've never heard of it, go look up the UNIA movement by Marcus Garvey, because that movement right there is what sparked everything to come after it. So, speaking of sparking it, the Nation of Islam was sparked by the UNIA movement, which we all know was headed by Elijah Muhammad and one of his greatest speakers, Malcolm X, and later taken over by Farrakhan. So, but the Nation of Islam began in 1934. It died off in 1975 with the death of Elijah Muhammad, and then in 1978, Louis Farrakhan picked up the baton and kept going back with it to present day. So again, I don't have a lot of time to get into these particular movements because it would go too far. But if you've never heard of the Nation of Islam or the NOI, I know you've heard of Malcolm X. I know most people have heard of Farrakhan. If you've never heard of Elijah Muhammad, God bless you, but go look it up. Nation of Islam, all right? That's another great movement that did a lot of good work. They took a lot of brothers and cleaned them up and gave them some perspective and gave them direction and gave them a new take on life that changed their life, that took them out of, even Malcolm X took them out of drug dealing and sleeping with white women and eating pork sandwiches and everything, and cleaned that brother up while he was in jail and got out of jail and became Malcolm X. So they've done some great work with brothers like Malcolm and other brothers like Malcolm. So you got to take your hat off to the Nation of Islam for that type of work. The Black Panther Party. I'm wearing the Huey Newton t-shirt on purpose. All right, I'm wearing it on purpose just for this particular proposal, or this particular thing, a presentation I'm doing today. So the Black Panther Party, again, if you've never heard of it, was started by Huey Newton, Bobby Seale, Elbert Howard in 1966, and it was ended around 1982. Now, there's been some resurgence of Black Panther parties and these little young groups. Don't count those. I'm talking about the real Black Panther Party. The ones who was out there really putting in that real work at a time where it was hectic. Love the Black Panther Party for their mission. Love the Black Panther Party for their heart that they had to do what they did. That was beautiful. Next, I'm going to move on. I can never really find a name for his movement. I don't think he really had a name, but it was just more associated with the nonviolent civil rights movement. And we all know who initiated it. He didn't initiate that, but he made it more popular. Martin Luther King. Started it around 1955 with a bus boycott. And since that boycott began, he was on a mission, and he was born as a leader of the nonviolent movement of the nonviolent civil rights movement. So it pretty much ended or died off with his assassination in 1968. Now, let's move into more contemporary times. We have a movement that was spearheaded around 2013, I believe, called Black Lives Matter. We've all heard of it. We've all seen the protests. We've all seen the t-shirts. We've all seen it all over the news, everything. We've seen all of this before. And this movement was headed by Garza, Patrice Cullors, and Opal Tometi. All right? And it still goes on to present. Now, the reason why I'm naming all of these different organizations, great organizations, I would say, is that they've all started their mission with a purpose. And I believe their purpose has some commonalities to it, each of them. Number one, they all fought or are still fighting for equality for African Americans specifically, but for most people in general. All right, that's number one. They were all willing, or are all willing, to put their lives on the line for what they believe in. You gotta take your hat off to things like that. Like people that are willing to do what they are called to do, knowing that it may take them away from this planet. Gotta give them respect. Number three, they all obeyed their callings. Malcolm was in jail when his calling hit him. And he obeyed that calling and became who the great Malcolm X was, which I respect with the utmost. I give the utmost respect to. I love Malcolm X. He's one of my favorite people in history that ever walked this planet. Obeyed their calling. Martin Luther King obeyed his calling with the bus boycott. Okay? Obeyed their calling. When you get this calling on you, you know that you're putting yourself and your life in jeopardy. And for you to see it through and actually carry it out takes serious balls, or a serious belief in a higher power that you know has your back. And still, to do that it's an awesome thing. Now, majority of these, number four, the majority of these particular individuals who headed these organizations or still head these organizations, I found out that a lot of them practiced. Some of them believed at some point, or still believed at the time, in European religions. That kind of like, we all know what Martin Luther King believed in, right? Malcolm X believed in the Nation of Islam, which is Muslim, which is basically another enslaver of our people. And this does not take from them in their efforts. It just highlights the fact that they had not attained full knowledge yet of who they are. Because if they did, they would have found the spiritualities of our ancestors. And that would have led the way for them. But that wasn't the case. Number five, and this is the most important one to me. Number five. And what I'm talking about again is, what did all of these organizations that I previously named have in common, okay? Number five, They did not work together. They did not work together. Malcolm and Martin were always arch rivals. The Black Panther Party was pretty much on their own. The NAIA was pretty much out there on their own because they were the first movement. But let's imagine if they actually worked together. What would that look like? No beefing, no Christian against Muslim, none of that stuff. They just said, you know what, we have a common cause. And I think that we're stronger if we work together. Could you imagine what that looked like? That would be like a big three super team in the NBA. That would be like the Golden State Warriors when they had Durant. Unstoppable. Banding together for one common cause, to win for the people in this case. But since that was not able to happen, to me the movement has become constipated. And it has been stagnant. It has been arrested. And that is the purpose of this particular sermon. How do we get the movement back moving? How do we get things back on track? Especially what we're facing in this country in this day and time. So, again, the question I got to ask you guys is, why should they work together? Because together, they're stronger. Together, the movement, if Malcolm, Martin, and the Black Panther Party work together, man, that's just unstoppable. Unstoppable. I'll get back into that later on. Let's talk about what Ifa has to say about this now. All right, let's talk about what Ifa has to say. I want this to come from me because this is not just me. This is just what I've researched and studied and found out and all this stuff. And now I'm putting it into Ifa's perspective now, okay? So what does Ifa have to say about the necessity of people banding together, especially in trying times? All right? I want to go to the Odu of Oyeku Odi. Oyeku Odi. In this Odu, it speaks of a deer that goes to consult with Ifa. Ifa tells this deer that death is upon him. Death is coming for him. In order to stop death or prevent death from happening, he needs to go back to the forest and pull everybody, all the other animals in the forest. I'm talking every animal, from a fly to a lion or a tiger or a bear. All right? Everything. That means he got to be willing to walk into the den of an animal that will be willing to eat him in order to get support. Because if he doesn't get support of all these animals in the jungle, death will come for them too. But he's going to go first. So what does he do? He goes to the jungle and he starts petitioning everybody. He starts trying to get everybody together. Majority of every animal he talks to says, man, get out of here. That ain't got nothing to do with me. That's your business. Ifa told you that ain't got nothing to do with us. I'm cool. Ain't no hunters coming for me. He goes to every animal, lion, tiger, bear, beaver, bird, whatever you can think. Spiders, whatever it may be. He goes and talks to all of them. They all basically shun him. So what happens? He goes back to Ifa. He tells Ifa he tells Olodumare what happened. He's like, Ifa, they won't listen, man. These people are paying me no attention. What am I going to do? The death is going to come and get me. I can't get these people to come along board and get involved with this. They won't support me. Ifa basically says there's nothing he can do. The Odu says you have to have the support. So what happens? Long story short, the hunter comes, kills the deer. Deer's gone. So what happens? The hunters come into this forest, and they're like, oh, that's a whole lot more meat up in here we can get. Wow, look at all this. So basically they form a plan and come back and they start hunting other animals. And every animal that he went to talk to the first time, they were all killed by the hunter. What is this Odu saying? This Odu is saying that what affects me today may affect you tomorrow. What affects me today may affect you tomorrow. I was watching a video on Facebook the other day. It reminded me of a situation that I was in before, with this young lady. She said she was somewhere in LA by USC and she saw a homeless guy and no one paid this homeless guy any attention. So she decided to be a good Samaritan and buy this man some food. And she said the joy in that man's face just lit up her whole life. But that took her paying attention to somebody else's tragedy and supporting that other person. If we don't support each other, we've already been shown that death is upon us. I'm gonna be very candid at this point. And this is not even in my script that I wrote out, okay? If we don't support each other, and what I mean by we, first of all, African Americans being supported by Africans and vice versa, African Americans being supported by Hispanics and vice versa. If we don't support each other, when we are the majority on the globe, maybe not in this country yet, but on the globe, we are the majority. If we don't support each other, these people have already shown what they're willing to do. They're no different than the hunter that I just described in this Odu of Oyeku Odi. They've already proven that they will come hunt you down. What we haven't proven is that we are willing to work together in order to stop the hunt. Now, every group that I named, NAIA, Nation of Islam, Black Panther Party, Black Lives Matter, Nonviolent Civil Rights Movement, all worked individually. They were the deer, they were the lion, they were the bear, they were the sheep, they were whatever else was in the jungle that was individually working that all eventually died. As long as we have all this individuality in our community, especially with the grassroots leadership, it's never going to be any changes. And that's why I feel the movement has been constipated. They had great intentions, but it's been constipated. We need some Pepto-Bismol somewhere to get this back moving. And that Pepto-Bismol prescription is working together. We need to work together. The importance of all races working together has never been more prevalent than any time in history. For instance, with this Byron Allen case, I know you guys have heard of it. It's been all over the news. I've been sharing it. But this Byron Allen case is very important. And this Byron Allen case stemmed from the enslavement of African Americans. African Americans were freed in 1865. Some white person had the gall and the foresight to create the Civil Rights Act of 1866, which gave African Americans somewhat of a way in to be woven back in, or to be woven, because they never were, woven into the fabric of the society of the United States. And to not supposed to face discrimination for it, even though we know it did already. But just like in Oyeku Odi, This Byron Allen situation. If black people don't support it, if Hispanic people don't support it, if Asian people don't support it, anybody who's non-white doesn't support this man's efforts, there is going to be hell to pay afterwards. If he loses this, there should be rallies happening every day. There should be talks. If you want to march, march for this. This dude needs everyone's support. Because if he wins it on the other end, it's a huge win for everybody. A huge win for everybody. In my humblest opinion, I think that every Awo, every Babalao, every Ianifa, every Aluo, every chief, everybody that is involved in Ifa at this time that has the ashe to do something about this should be collaboratively working together. I'm talking from traditional Ifa to Lukumi to Santeria. I don't care at this point. We need to all be offering ebos, all offering something towards this effort of Byron Allen. The man is standing by himself and all alone, what it seems like, and I haven't seen one group in support of it yet. We all in Ifa know the power of Ifa. We all know what Ifa is capable of doing. But if we're going to all act upon our individuality, like the Black Panthers or the Nation of Islam or Black Lives Matter or Nonviolence or NAIA, if we act in our individuality, which has not worked yet, how do we expect it to work moving forward? Absolutely. Group elbows, I'm talking on a monthly basis. If it's just for this purpose right here alone, that man needs to be reached out to. Somebody needs to reach out to him and say, hey, look, brother, we want to put some work behind what you're doing. We need to go get you and put some ashe to your movement and what you're doing so that this can have success, because this success could bring success for ourselves, for our children, for generations to come, that we won't have to go through some of these things, because now we have a proven case on the books that they have to listen to. All right, so let's go to this. Let's get off of that. What does it look like to work together? Let's ask that question. What does that look like? So I'm gonna give you an example. I gave you an example in Oyeku Odi with all the animals turning their backs on the deer and everybody being killed. Now, what does it look like to work together? All right. Imagine this. Imagine there's a war. Let's take the United States. Imagine there's a war breaks out with the United States. Now, most military branches on a regular day, we just had Veterans Day not too long ago, right? But most military branches on a regular day don't get along with each other. I know a bunch of people in the military, from the Marines, the Army, the Navy. I don't know too many people in the Air Force. But majority of them think that their branch is superior to the next one. Tell me I'm wrong. I know I'm right. But check this out. If a war breaks out, that war requires all of them to put their little petty crap to the side to all come together to fight this war. So the Marines need the Air Force. The Army needs the Air Force. They all need to work together in order to make this war a success. This is not rocket science, y'all. The blueprint is before us. We're just not following the blueprint. We're following what we've been sold to do, to stay divided and conquered. Therefore, every movement that tries to sprout gets constipated or annihilated. But it's funny how these movements never get annihilated because they know how to work together when they have to. Minorities of all colors need to do the same. The same as the Marines, Army, Navy, Air Force. I think there's something else I'm missing. We are at war, believe it or not. We are all at war. What has been happening with Hispanic people in this last few years? Now you're at war with this same person. African Americans have been at war with these people for 400 years. They ain't never let up on us yet. But now they're aiming their targets at other nationalities. So it's time for people to start working together. All nationalities need to come together because we are at war. I mean, our basic human God-given rights are being attacked. Food is being modified to where it's not even food anymore. Vaccines are being mandated that are making our kids sick and giving them diseases and even killing some of us. Police are out of control everywhere we go. That's in everybody's community. That's not just isolated to one person. That's not just isolated to the deer. Every animal in the jungle was going through the same issue. Here's how I see we change this as a solution, and I'm coming to my conclusion now, okay? This is not going to be a long episode. Because as you notice, I only had one Odu. And I only chose that one Odu because that one Odu spells it out. The deer went to Ifa and nobody supported him. His movement died and he was killed. If we do not listen to the signs that are given to us through the wisdom of Ifa, we're doomed. Because there's no Bible verse or no Quran verse that is going to tell us the answer to our issue. If it had the answer to our issues, then why are we in the same issues 400 years later? Something has to change. Ifa communities need to get off their high horses and put in work together. I'm talking to Ifa people now. It's so many Ifa Ilays, so many Ifa legs of Ifa that don't even work together, hate against each other, like no different than any other organization that I named previously. Don't support each other. Their mission might be this one mission might be another one, but they can never at least come together and shake hands for the common good of what the purpose of being in Ifa is. And that is to help people find their destiny and leave this planet better than we found it. How do you do that separated? You're no different than any other organization I named previously. And that needs to stop. I don't care if you're on the continent of Africa or if you're in America, if you're in South America, if you're in Cuba, if you're in LA, if you're in Atlanta, if you're in New York, I don't care where you are. This division within Ifa needs to stop. We have people that are Awos and Aluos and Ianifas and chiefs within Ifa have the ability to change the trajectory of what's happening on this planet, and we're only using it for our own personal ashe. That needs to stop. Our own personal mission. Because my mission doesn't match yours. You don't want to support me. What? Again, you have the Army, the Navy, the Marines, the Air Force. You have all these different entities that don't. The Air Force and the Marines, two different things. Water and air don't go together. Army is land. Like, they have different branches that handle different things for different purposes. They get it. We have to conquer all these different elements because what you do may not be what I do, but if we come together, we can be bigger and stronger. Voltron, basically, right? Let me bring it back a notch. Woosah, woosah, the dog that catches the bone. Woo! Okay, thank you, Martin. So, Ifa communities must put in work together. Again, I want to go back to that collaborative effort with the Ebos. Okay? Ebos for a lot of the issues, but specifically for the Byron Allen issue. We can start there. I doubt it if Byron Allen knows about Ifa. He's a billionaire, but I guarantee you that if somebody reaches out to him and lets him know what it is, he would be willing to sit on that mat and do that elbow for that cause. If he's willing to put his money where his mouth is and go this far with it, why wouldn't he? Ifa people, we need to share our intel with each other. Stop hoarding information and make the information more transparent so people can be open and willing to coming in. That's the reason why I think some people watch my videos, because they know that I'm sharing information. I'm not hoarding it. I'm not trying to charge them just for what an Odu says and how this and what this means. Like, we need to be more transparent with information. Thirdly, we need to again support each other. Support. Get off your high horse. Stop acting like your army is better than my Marines. Stop it. Number 4 is waking our people up. I think anybody black in America who was plucked out of their family, who 9 times out of 10 grew up in a Christian background, if you were plucked out of your family and became an Ifa practitioner or a capo or follower or awo or whatever, if you were plucked out of your family, you were plucked out of that family for a reason. The spirits, the ancestors, Ifa, Olodumare, Irumales, Orishas saw that you were the strongest link, and they need you to be the one to do exactly what I'm saying here. Wake our people up. And if we collectively come together, we'll be even stronger at waking our people up. Number 5, traditional Ifa, Santeria, Lukumi, Black, Hispanic, African, African American, South American, whatever you are, it's time to come together. It's time to put down the swords, the differences, the issues. It's time to do that. Because if you don't, like an Oyeku Odi, the hunter will come for you. And one day it will be your turn. Did you guys not see Avatar? Did you see how they had to go to different tribes they didn't necessarily get along with to get that white man off of Avatar? But they band together, even with the animals on the planet, to get this white man off of the planet, because if they didn't, every creature on that planet was doomed. But they band together and worked together to accomplish a similar goal. I hope y'all are hearing me. I hope this message makes sense. I hope that you share this message with as many people as you can, because this message is not about, these Good Morning Ifa sermons are not about Jasir Makanjula trying to be this person with the pats on the back and he's great. I don't care nothing about accolades. I don't do this for that reason. Only reason why I do this is because I noticed that my people did not have a voice in America within the Ifa ranks. It was not, no one speaking up for us. And that's why I do it. And when I see issues like this Byron Allen issue, Ifa has an answer for everything. Everything. There's nothing new under the sun. If we don't follow the message in Oyeku Odi, everybody under my voice, now or later, will see these things coming to fruition. It's already happening. It's already been happening for African Americans for 400 years. But there has been people that have come into this country since 1866 that have taken advantage of that act, Civil Rights Act, that my people, black people, were the cause of, and now they're here and they're living well, but now the hammer's coming down on them. So it's either we work together, united we expand, or divided we will fall. But it is definitely time to unconstipate the movements and the efforts that were in the foundation, from the foundations that were laid by Marcus Garvey, laid by Elijah Muhammad and Malcolm X, laid by Huey Newton. And the leaders over at Black Lives Matter and all these different grassroots organizations that have come along over the years that have been trying to do the work, but they just have not worked together to get it done. I'm gonna leave you with a message from one of my other favorite people in the world, Martin Luther King. I know you probably heard this, but it's so applicable in this sermon. Martin Luther King says, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." Injustice anywhere is a threat to injustice everywhere. Meaning if we don't get involved with things that look like it may not have anything to do with us at the moment, trust me, it will be at your doorstep eventually. It will be those disco lights in your rearview mirror at some point. Thanks everybody for watching. I am Makanju Allah. This is Good Morning E5. This message has been brought to you on behalf of Good Morning E5. I thank you guys for watching it. Please, if you dig it, if you love it, if you like it a little bit, even share it with as many people as you can. Have discussions about this topic. Go look up some of those groups. Investigate E5 even. Find someone in your town that knows something about E5. Find somebody good, please. There's a lot of, scams going on here, but please find someone good. If you have questions about E5, you can always inbox me. I get them all the time. I'll do my best to help you to get with the right person. I am only an Awo. I am not an Aluwo. I do not have Ashes to do elbows and all that good stuff, initiations, but I know some good people that I can refer you to that do good work, that will make sure it gets done properly and you will get what you're looking for. But again, working together is the key to this message. If you don't take anything from this message today, take away, we need to work together and put down our differences. Everybody, especially in the E5 community, but everybody. All right, I'm out. Makanju Allah, Good Morning E5. Like the page, subscribe to the YouTube page. Go to indigenousrhythms.com if you have any questions. If you want to get some of the music, if you like that libation song, go to indigenousrhythms.com. 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 3 times. I'm out. Peace.